What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, you would think with Avengers Doomsday in the middle of filming, them just starting on Spider-Man Brand New Day, and with leaks coming out daily for each film, Marvel Studios would have their hands full. But today, we got a breaking article coming from Empire Magazine officially announcing that they have started on the X-Men movie. They did a follow-up interview with the director, Jake Schreier, who obviously is coming fresh off of the Thunderbolts, and with less than a year break, has now started on the long-awaited reboot for the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're going to talk about exactly what he said in this article, what it means for probably very imminent casting announcements, and the timetable that we already know that they'll be shooting and releasing this film. But quick reminder to hit the sub button. It's the best thing you can do to support us here at the channel if you enjoy the videos, plus it'll enter you for the giveaways if you want. Stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so as I mentioned during the prologue, this actually broke earlier today from Empire Magazine in a precursor for the full article that'll come out later. The headline reads, "What Jake Schreier is taking from Thunderbolts as he starts work on very exciting X-Men movie." They go on to report, quote, "For years now, Marvel Studios has been working in the background, setting the stage for the X-Men to arrive. Ever since Disney acquired Fox, the wheels have been in motion for the Mutants to change the DNA of the MCU, and while little has been publicly announced, we do know one all-important detail: the man in charge of directing the eventual MCU X-Men film is Jake Schreier, the filmmaker who recently brought us Marvel's Thunderbolts, aka the New Avengers. As he tells Empire, Schreier is starting to get the wheels spinning on his X-Men adventure. I can't say anything about it, but we've started work on the X-Men, and that's obviously very, very exciting," he confirms. Schreier goes on to say, quote, "There's so many things that I didn't know about before I started Thunderbolts," he says, pointing to the MCU experience that he can now draw from. "The biggest learning curve for me was the proportion of the action to the more emotional, character-driven scenes, and how, even though it's more shooting days than I've ever had, they get eaten up quite quickly by the action stuff. By the time we got to the end of it, I felt like, oh, now I feel like we get how to do this a little bit better." Now, obviously, there's more article to come where I'm sure he'll say a little bit more about it, but he prefaces the whole thing talking about, hey, I can't say anything. We don't expect anything less from anybody over at Marvel, especially for a movie like the X-Men. But we can actually read into quite a bit about the timeline. We know they've been working on the script for almost or more than 2 years now, with Michael Leslie working on it first and finishing it, and then Eric Pearson picking it up. And rumors have said they might roll film on the X-Men reboot as early as next year in 2026, which again, I think would be nuts because they'll still be working on Avengers Doomsday and shooting Avengers Secret Wars, but that's what the rumors have said. Either way, it's been very well known that there is a mystery Marvel movie that could be put out now between the two Avengers films, and some have hoped or pointed to the X-Men reboot is possibly occupying that space. With the returning Fox X-Men members, unless they're all going to get turned to shreds in Avengers Doomsday, I do not see them working in that X-Men film. More likely, it's not coming out until post-Avengers Secret Wars, sometime in 2028, and that means that even if they film next year, don't expect this to be expedited. It just gives them more time to get this film right, which I think is a great idea. Another takeaway from the article, though, was that he knows how to make a Marvel movie better than he did before, and that's great news because this is a pretty important Marvel movie. Now, what you can get excited for, and what he means by, hey, we've just started working on it when the script is 2 years old and as finished as it's going to be for a Marvel movie, means they are actively now casting for the X-Men. So, where we've been hearing rumors for about 6 to 8 months about possible casting, now's the time to get excited, and we will probably hear multiple names for multiple roles, but as they start to turn into one name, and then it's one name that hangs around for 6 months before next summer's San Diego Comic-Con, that's when we can actually start to believe the rumors are true, because they are actively casting. And we got this update literally last week from Jeff Snyder, who said he doesn't care what anybody says. Inside those agencies right now, people are putting forth auditions for the X-Men. So I expect to start to hear some real rumors maybe by the end of the year or the beginning of next. But to me, what's even more exciting about some of these actors are the character that they're going to be portraying, because we still don't know what they're going to go with as far as the first lineup for the X-Men. Now, what we do know is that they are definitely casting younger. That seems to be confirmed across all fronts in an effort to get a younger team that can stick around for a while. Have an obvious difference from a lot of the returning actors that are up there in age for the Fox X-Men we're about to see again in Avengers Doomsday, confirmed, and possibly Avengers Secret Wars. But on that note, real recently, Jake had mentioned that the X-Men were going to look, quote, recognizably different than the previous Fox iterations. Now, you can take that to mean a lot of things, but without getting metaphorical about it, he was literally saying they were going to look different. When I read that for the first time, I took it to mean he was going to choose different characters. You're not going to get your Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Storm lineup. And to be very fair, there are so many X-Men stories that don't involve any of those characters. The lineups that we've gone through over the last just 25 years of Marvel since the 2000s have rapidly changed. And yes, from team to team, you get some of the classic characters back, but they could also, if they wanted to, easily draw directly from comics and make up an X-Men team of characters that have never seen the silver screen or been done in live action. Now, I personally don't think they're going to do that, and I didn't panic in any way when I read this quote, but man, it caused a stir with a certain little corner of the fandom who took it to mean that they were going to somehow do away with everything you know and love about the X-Men and bring some new thing out that didn't make any sense, which the overreaction sometimes absolutely blows my mind, especially when it comes to things that are so far down the road. And do I expect that they are going to use some of the new characters? Of course. In fact, Miss Marvel being written into the X-Men and being a mutant was something that happened after Iman Vellani was cast to play the character, something that she helped do. So, for instance, she's a rather new addition to the X-Men. I expect her to be involved with the team when it gets its reboot alongside these other young actors. But I also suspect there to be a Cyclops, and I suspect there to be a Storm. Marvel Studios knows exactly which characters are most popular out of its IP, and in case it was curious about what it could and couldn't do, the Multiverse Saga has been a crash course in what happens when you take characters that were never that popular in the top tiers of publishing and try to run them out in live action. Look, it serves some fans, but I don't know why they thought characters that never sold too well in the books anyway would simply be able to make it off their iconography if turned into a show. And maybe if some of those shows had been better, it would be a different story, see Guardians of the Galaxy, but not every director and creative is James Gunn. That's almost a 1 in a million shot. That being said, I think they know exactly where our hearts lie as far as the X-Men. X-Men 97 Season 1 and the upcoming Season 2 have made that very clear to them, what we like and what we love, and so they would be smart in updating it, making it more modern, but not changing too much of the core of what's going on from that old publishing and giving us some of the classic characters as well. People tend to freak out though, that's probably what they're doing now, and look, no matter what they announce as a lineup, nothing's going to be good enough because that's where we're at right now, but I for one am excited, again, more than the actors' names, because I'll be honest, I don't recognize some of these young actors and actresses, but more than that, I'm excited about which characters they choose for the lineup. You guys let me know all your thoughts down below though. Maybe you feel a different way. How hype are you for X-Men? Again, don't expect it before 2028, but I can't wait for all these casting rumors to start hitting. Let me know down in the comments quickly. Make sure you're sub. Make sure you leave a comment to be entered for the giveaways. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms with original music under the name All Fires. Thanks for checking the channel out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.